Hi, I am Faith Gor, one of the contributing writers at The Weight She Carries. And today I'm going to use this onion to share with you one of the most unpleasant, uncomfortable, heavy, and the most misunderstood topics in life. That is forgiveness. So, just how this onion has different layers, forgiveness has layers too. And it makes sense when we say that it's a process and it's not an event. At the core of this onion is a pure white corn. And in forgiveness, at the core of forgiveness is joy, peace, and freedom. See how unpleasant an onion can smell? That's how it's unpleasant for us to think about forgiveness. Some of us get sick when we think about forgiving. Some of us walk away when we think about forgiveness. Some of us have shut off people from our lives because they keep on talking about forgiveness or they remind us about forgiveness. But I'm here to remind you that it's a process. It begins from somewhere. And today we are going to learn the first layer or the first process in forgiveness. You see how when I choose to unpeel this onion or when I choose to cut the onion, it would make my eyes cry. In the same way, when you choose to walk through the forgiving process, it will make you cry because it's a painful process. And sometimes you will want to quit. You will feel like quitting, And I am yet to meet someone who threw away onions just because they made them cry while cutting or while chopping them. So stick in the process. Just go through the process. Cry if you want to, but don't quit. And you see just how, if I would like to get the inner core in this onion, I will need to remove one layer at a time. Forgiveness is best experienced one layer at a time. You can only forgive one pain, or rather one offense at a time. It's heavy to decide to forgive so many offenses in one sitting or in one season, but it's realistic and it's reasonable to forgive one offense and even one layer at a time. And you see, even God, our Heavenly Father, who is sensitive, does not demand us to do what we can't bear. He doesn't expect you to forgive all the offenses in one sitting. He has the power to do that for us, but I don't think he demands us to do that in one sitting. But he meets us where we are. He comes to our level and he walks with us the journey. And you see, if I decide to cut the onion, I won't be able to get the whole inner core. Actually, I'll only get a piece of the chopped inner core and I won't get the whole piece of it. So if I want to get the whole pure white piece of the core, then I'll need to unpeel the onion one layer at a time. And doing that will mean messing up my fingers. It will mean the juice will come out and it means that it will be messy and it will smell really bad. That's just how forgiveness is. It's messy. Sometimes it feels crazy. It never makes sense. And here is the ugly part of it. You might go through a season and believe that you have forgiven someone. You live and have peace and begin talking to them again. And then it will take one offense to take you back to the reality that you know nothing about forgiveness. And sometimes it might make you feel as though you have not forgiven. But what I'd like to remind you is it's a process. And perhaps you still have a few more layers to unpeel for you to get into the inner core of joy, peace, and freedom. And you see, guys, just how if I rush into cutting the onion, I'll miss out on the peeling process. Is the same way when we rush to forgive, we won't know the joy of forgiving from our hearts. What we will actually be doing is denying, minimizing, and covering up things because we don't want to go through the process. And God doesn't want us to bear cheap forgiveness. So the first place to begin from is to acknowledge that you are wounded. Yes, it's ugly, it's messy, it hurts, but that's the best place to begin from. It's just how dirty this onion looks like. It doesn't look nice. It looks dry. And when I remove the dry part, then I'll begin to get into the soft area and then peeling will be so easy. In the same way, perhaps the cover around your life is the idea that nothing happened to you. You're hiding, you're minimizing, and denying an offense that occurred into your life. But it's affecting you. You and I know that it's affecting you. So I would like to invite you to walk through this process of forgiveness, that you may enjoy the gift of peace, joy, and freedom from your heart. So where do you begin from? Acknowledging the wrong that was done to you. I know it's hard to acknowledge because perhaps the person who offended you is someone you really trusted, loved, and cherished, and you can't even bear the thought of their offense. But God is inviting you today because He wants to walk you through that process, because He wants to heal you and He wants to give you freedom. So will you choose to walk that journey? And just to remind you that you are not alone. And if you don't know what to tell Him, you can just tell Him that, God, I'm struggling to forgive so and so. That's a good place to begin from. My challenge for you today is name that offense and talk to God about it. No, nobody is asking you to forgive right now. Just name the offense. Tell God about it. Tell Him that you don't want to hear anything about forgiveness. Tell Him that you're struggling to forgive. And He, being the master forgiver, knows what to do. I'll see you next time as we go into the next layer. May God keep you. Bye-bye.